Oh.
Oh, hey everyone on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, or wherever you're watching. This is a pre-record from Thursday night. Since I'm going to be out of town during the weekend, we decided we were just be best to pre-record, and we'll talk about Sunday's game. We won't talk about Thursday's game. Actually, if you want to hear all about Thursday's game, you can catch Victory Monday. Hopefully, it'll be nice and it'll be really a fun time on Monday night, 8:45. Regular show, live show comes back at 8:05 Eastern on Tuesday, but this is a pre-recorded version, so we hope you enjoy it. Dustin, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, let's rock and roll.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts of the show. And to my right is a man who was just fined by the NFL for making an obscene gesture during the Dallas Cowboys game by commemorating Michael Jackson. NFL, let's have fun, okay? Have fun. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are you doing tonight?
Who hasn't tried to replicate Michael
Who
Jackson?
among us has not ever tried to replicate Michael Jackson's grabbing the crotch?
Yeah.
Who among us?
No one has done it. And go back and watch the Beastquake run from 2010. Marshawn Lynch did it going into the end zone there against the Saints.
Hey, Dustin, I got a joke for you.
Well, what's that?
What are Michael Jackson's pronouns?
Oh man, I don't know. I thought about it like the same instant. I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's a good one. That's a good one. There are other Michael Jackson jokes, but they are not appropriate for the airwaves.
No, we don't want to get band hammered. But
no, we do not.
No, but speaking of not getting band hammered, follow us on social media on Facebook, facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, the scarcely used TikTok at NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/NoCredsREQ. Give us a like and a subscription. And speaking of subscriptions, subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, wherever you podcast. Rate and review. If you're on Spotify, leave a comment on each individual show. You can leave a comment now on each individual show, so we'll read your comments on the air. Rate and review. If you're on a rate and review. A 5-star rating would be very, very helpful on any podcast platform. And if you're on a podcast platform where you can review, leave us a review. And again, we might even read it on the air. Every rating, every review, every comment left for us on our YouTube side or on Twitter, it helps the show. It helps the algorithm because the algorithm rules all these days.
Yes, it does.
And even though we're not live on the YouTube side or on Twitter, on Facebook, you can still leave us a comment, engage with the show. Again, the algorithm runs everything. The robots are running everything now. You can engage with the show. Even though we're not live, Dustin, I know you want to hear that magical sound.
Always, always.
All right. Where is it? There it is. All right. So let's get into week 3. Already in week 3 of the NFL, we're first going to talk about our most intriguing matchups for this week in week 3. So Dustin, as usual, I'll have you lead off. What to you is the most intriguing matchup in the NFL in week 3?
Thank you, sir. You're always so polite. You're always so polite to give me the first crack at this thing. But to me, it was pretty easy to pick the most intriguing matchup this week, especially after what happened Monday night. I am picking one game and one game only. The Saints versus the Eagles is the most intriguing matchup for me. And the reasons are pretty simple, right? Can the Eagles rebound from letting Atlanta rally and score on them in the final minutes of that Monday night game, that heartbreaking loss that they had? And also on the Saints side, how do they do against some stiff competition? How does that Saints defense look? They destroyed the Cowboys last week, absolutely destroyed and dismantled what was supposed to be a good Cowboys defense. And also, how does Saquon respond after his, he took the blame. He said, if I catch that ball, we don't lose that game. How does he run against this Saints defense that has looked good? How do Alvin Kamara and Derek Carr look respectively? I mean, there's a lot of reasons to pick this game, not the least of which is if the Eagles somehow lose this game, is Nick Sirianni in trouble? Because there's already rumors that the seat is getting hot under his backside.
Well, it is Philadelphia after all. There's always going to be a hot seat wherever, where it be as you are if you're a manager of the Phillies, coach of the Sixers, coach of the Flyers, doesn't matter. Coach of the Eagles, doesn't matter. You're always going to be on the hot seat. And I can't blame fans one bit after last week's questionable performance by the Eagles on Monday night. Especially with regards to the play calling that he put together with for Jalen Hurts. And I know the relationship is kind of frosty right now between the two, but the only way you succeed in the NFL is if your coach and your quarterback are on the same page. They need to be on the same page. You need to get in a room, figure out their stuff. Maybe, do you remember from Mr. Baseball this summer?
Yes, of course.
Manager Uchiyama and Jack Elliott. Jack Elliott brings a bottle of whiskey, a bottle of Johnny Walker to Uchiyama's house and said, "Japanese custom. We drink. I say what I want." And then they go off and have a whiskey and a cigar. Well, Jack has a cigar.
Yeah.
They drink whiskey and they figure out their problems. So I think that's what they need to do is that Sirianni and Hurts need to get in a room, the bottle of whiskey, the Johnny Walker. The Winter Walker is very good too.
Oh yeah. I have that in my freezer because my brother got it for me one year.
Best served cold, yes. But yeah, they need to get in a room, have a bottle of whiskey between the two, yell at each other for a bit and figure it out and then hug afterwards.
Yeah, and hopefully for their sake and Philadelphia Eagles fans everywhere sake, they can do that because this is going south in a hurry, and they gotta figure it out. And if you watch the Manning brothers, the Manning cast of the Monday night game, Peyton particularly was baffled by some of the play calling. He had some reactions, as did Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was a guest for I think the fourth quarter, and it was nice to watch the three quarterbacks talk about how they felt with some of the play calling. So it's not all roses in Philadelphia, that's for sure. But I now cede the floor to you. What is your most intriguing matchup for the week?
Yeah, so and there were a bunch of them. There's a bunch of good good games that had a very intriguing matchups. I may have sprinkled in a teaser on Tuesday.
Oh,
okay. But I'm saving that for another category. I'm going with Texans Vikings. Both teams are 2-0 coming into this game. Texans travel up to Minnesota. Minnesota, the protective grounds of U.S. Bank Stadium. And the Texans have had two close games in their first 2 weeks, 2024. The Colts by 2. They only beat the Bears by, I think, 6, 19-13.
Yeah.
Not as dominant as a win as I would have liked the Texans to have, especially against this Bears team that was actually absolutely abysmal on offense. in week 1.
Yeah, well, as a Seahawks fan, Shane Waldron, 19 is enough to beat a Shane Waldron led offense. There, I said it.
I think that off your chest. This has been Seattle Seahawks Therapy with Dustin Henry. But they came away with 2 wins, as I thought they would. I thought they would start the year 2-0. They've already started the year 2-0. Now they're facing a team that is very surprising. The Vikings are 2-0. I thought the Vikings were gonna mail it in this year, but they beat down the Giants. They beat the Niners. They should have beat them by more than 22-13. I thought they had a chance to put up a couple more touchdowns and really dominate this game.
They did. Fred Warner saved the Niners in that game.
Fred Warner saved the Niners twice on two drives in their territory. But the most surprising team to start 2-0 this year, and the most surprising start period. This game can go one of 2 ways. This game is either going to be a matchup of defenses. Both the Texans and the Vikings have pretty solid defenses. D'Amico Ryans on one side of the ball. Kevin O'Connell, not known for defensive mind, but he has a pretty good staff. I believe Leslie Frazier's on that staff, if I'm not mistaken. Minnesota. There's some real-time research. Just even though we're recording, coaching staff.
I believe that Leslie Frazier is in a
Brian Flores. Brian
yeah.
Flores. Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator, and so I was one of the two.
Yeah, because Leslie Frazier, I believe,
He's
is
in Buffalo.
Assistant head coach. Well, he was.
That's right.
But now he's like assistant head coach, and I can't remember exactly what his role is. But it's in Seattle. He's with the Seahawks.
Yes, he is the assistant head coach of the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah,
you're right. So yeah, he's got Kevin Flores on the other side, who's not exactly the best head coach, but in Miami, but he butted heads with Chris Greer, or Brian Greer, excuse me. Chris Greer is in San Jose. Forgot. Butted head with Brian Greer, and he was ousted, but winds up on his feet in Minnesota and has crafted a solid defense. I will admit, I thought the Vikings weren't going to be good this year.
No, he fixed that defense right up. I'll tell you.
He did. And either this is going to be one of those games where it's a very defensive game, low scoring. Another team really makes it into the 20s, or they score in the low 20s, or it's going to be a high scoring duel, because both these teams can put up points. Both these teams can put it up in the air. CJ Stroud on one side of the ball, Sam Darnold on the other side of the ball. Talked about Sam Darnold, I wouldn't say in depth on Tuesday, but we talked about him a lot. Gave him his flowers, as we should.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is going to be, to me, this is the most intriguing matchup of the week.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick, and like you said, it's either going to be a really fun game to watch, or it's going to be a defensive battle. Which defensive battles can be fun in their own way, but I will admit I like to watch an offensive juggernaut a little bit more than defense. I know that's surprising for me to say as a fan of the Seahawks in their Legion of Boom heyday. I love to watch that defense dominate everybody in that time, but if I have no horse in the race, I prefer a firepower battle, a la the Colts Chiefs from years back when Andrew Luck and the Colts were battling against the Chiefs, or that Monday night game from years ago when it was Mahomes versus Jared Goff and the LA Rams. That was a great shootout from years back.
54-51. That should have been the Super Bowl that season, but no. No. New England Patriots, they're going to ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, they did.
Winning in overtime, and with just having the ball just for themselves in overtime, getting that touchdown, and then playing one of those boring Super Bowls ever. All right, moving on to it. It was a big box of boring. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
the next category, it'll say on the screen if you're watching on YouTube on the social media channels, Desperation City. But this week it's Bounce Back City, because it's not that time of year yet when it's Desperation City. We're now in Bounce Back City territory, and my Bounce Back City game of the week is Detroit and Arizona, visiting Arizona. that would have been my most intriguing matchup, but this is more of a bounce back game for the Lions than it is for the Cardinals. Cardinals, look, give the Cardinals their flowers. Did it last week when we talked about almost beating Buffalo in week 1.
Yep.
Came out in week 2 and it absolutely slapped the taste out of the Rams' mouth. This week they're back at home, back at State Farm Stadium. I think it's still called State Farm Stadium.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. And they face a Lions team that outgained the Buccaneers last week, had a distinctive advantage in time of possession, and yet they still lost the game. Defense held up. Look, the defense held their end of the bargain. The offense did not. The offense has been struggling and it was kind of evident in week 1. And then it was even more evident in week 2. They got to score points. But here's the thing. How does the Lions defense match the speed? Let's put it this way. For the offense, can they put it in the end zone against a very, very surprisingly tough Cardinals defense? Cardinals defense was flying all over the place last week.
Yeah.
Allowed only 10 points to the Rams. We know the Rams can put points on the board, but the Rams are also all over the place injured, especially at their receiving core.
Yeah, they're licking their wounds wide receiver wise right now.
Yeah. And thankfully Cooper Kupp is not I think he's week to week right now. He's not going on the IR, so good for a Rams fan. As for the defense, I want to see how the Lions defense matches against the speed of the Cardinals offense, especially when you have Kyler Murray as a dual threat with his feet and with his arm. And you can criticize Kyler Murray all you want. The guy was out of football for literally a full season, basically a full season from the middle of 2022 all the way up to like November of 2023. Comes back. Cardinals become one of those really feisty teams, feisty and fun teams to watch, and they still have that momentum. But now they have not only James Conner in the backfield, but they also have Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh yeah,
we'll talk more about him in the next couple segments. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Lions defense, and again, the Lions defense held for the most part held their end of the bargain last week against the Buccaneers, but the offense has got to pick it up. And I'm pretty sure Julie from Michigan, friend of the show, is also saying the same thing. The Lions got to pick up on offense.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Lions fan, you're gonna hate it here for the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be rough because the Rams took the Lions to the limit too. They could have started out winless very easily. So, yeah, it's Detroit's got some things to work on so far in this young season. But I'll be keeping an eye on that one, and I just may mention certain players from that game later in the show.
Interesting. Okay. How about you, Dustin? What's your bounce back city game for this week?
Well, I like you. This week had a lot of tasty matchups that could have fit a lot of categories that we're going over. But for me, again, the bounce back city, both teams that I'm about to mention need a bounce back in the worst way. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on this one. And it is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens are in desperate need of a win. They can't drop to 0-3.
No,
not in that division.
Nope.
And you know, this was a team that had Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, they bring in Derrick Henry. They're not bringing in Derrick Henry because they want him to finally score 18 touchdowns in a season. He's never done that, by the way. But they want Super Bowl. They want to right the wrongs of, or their past mistakes and get this team over the hump. And there's a very real possibility they could start 0-3 because Dallas will be hungry after the drubbing that they took at the hands of the New Orleans Saints. There's a lot to watch in this game. Will Dallas be able to limit Baltimore's rushing attack on the ground? Will they be able to stop Derrick Henry? Will they be able to stop Lamar Jackson? Maybe they watch some tape of that Raiders game and see what the Raiders defense did to stymie Lamar Jackson on the ground, Will the receiving game get to a chance to get going? Will the tight ends, both Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, get it going? And also on the flip side, how will the Dallas offense respond? Will they be able to kind of get back on track? And will the defense play well? Micah Parsons says that Dallas defense is going to bounce back. Will they against a competent Baltimore offense that has some weapons that you have to look out for? Because don't forget about Zay Flowers. He can sneak up on you. Mm-hmm. So this is both these teams need a win desperately. And it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I think Dallas will struggle the most, only because they're facing a multi-layered offense that not only has one but two threats out of the backfield who can who can do damage with their feet. They also have to worry about Flowers. They also got to worry about Mark Andrews, who still needs to get going. Still needs to get going this year. He has a slow start this year, which is very uncommon for Mark Andrews, especially for that tight end game. So Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, is going to have to do some work, especially trying to keep away from Micah Parsons and that defense. And even the secondaries, Dallas secondary is going to look to stop Flowers and try to get in Andrews' face too. So it's a pretty intriguing matchup. So I would definitely agree. It's definitely a game to watch this week for sure. All right, we're moving on to our third category, the self-hatred game of the week. This is the game that, unless you're a fan of the team or you have fantasy implications, nobody's going to want to watch this game. Dustin, I'll start with you. Which matchup is your self-hatred game?
Oh man, this one, and it's going to sound so mean when I pick it, but to me, it was number one. There was a few contenders, but when I examined the slate, I said, you know what, this one kind of runs away with it, with a big caveat, because apparently Jordan Love is practicing already. I don't know. I don't know if he'll play. I doubt it. Honestly, I'm not a medical expert, but it means maybe he'll be back sooner. Maybe he'll beat the timetable back. But if Malik Willis starts for Green Bay, and they're going up against Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. First of all, the Titans offense has looked pretty bad through the first couple games. Ryan, you saw it up close and personal last week. That Titans offense, not very fun to watch. And Will Levis has made a couple, not trying to call him out, because he's had some beautiful throws at points in his young NFL career, but he's also made some back-breaking mistakes to the point where his head coach is kind of calling him out a little bit. And then on the other side, you have Malik Willis, who was able to help the Green Bay Packers win last week. All credit to him, but it wasn't through the air. It wasn't through the passing attack. Malik Willis kept it on the ground, and really the only Packer that's going to be worth watching in this game is Josh Jacobs. And I have Josh Jacobs on my fantasy team in a league where I'm playing for a little bit of cheddar, so the stakes are higher. And so I'll be keeping an eye on that to see if the Titans' surprisingly decent run defense at points throughout this young season will be able to stop Josh Jacobs at all. But that's all the Packers' offense is going to be, is Malik Willis probably doing it with his legs and Josh Jacobs running on the Titans. And from the Titans' side, will Levis throw a back-breaking pick at some point? He probably will.
Yeah, probably. He'll try to Brett Favre it or something, or try to do a Patrick Mahomes, do like a savior type thing. It's like, wait, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You'll have Kevin Callahan, the coach. You'll be reading his lips and he won't be praying. Let's put it that way. We'll just put it that way. And hopefully the center of the Packers doesn't throw up on the ball this week.
Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah. Why don't you throw the ball? Our center puked twice on it, coach. That's why I ran it instead of threw it. My self-hatred game of the week involves the punchless, toothless Jacksonville Jaguars. Ooh. Traveling. And this week I've picked a kiddie team the last couple of weeks. I picked the Panthers. It's low-hanging fruit at this point.
Yeah, I didn't want to kick the Panthers while they're down.
And we've addressed them enough the first couple weeks of this season. I don't want to do it again. So this week I'm picking the Jaguars. The Jaguars are toothless. They are not. Something's going on with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Then he's got to figure it out. He's over. He's over since October of last year. He's over. And if the Jaguars are going to take the next step, like we all thought they would last year, until they fell flat on their face.
Yes,
something's going on with this team. Defense, defense is holding up their end of the bargain. Offensively, they're in the struggle bus right now. They traveled to Buffalo. Buffalo took care of the Dolphins and then some last week. A pick six.
Yeah.
A pick six last week against Tua before he went down. It was a bloodbath last week in Miami. I'm hoping it's not the same again at whatever that stadium is, Highmark Stadium now, I guess it's called. I still call it Ralph Wilson Stadium. But it's one of the 2 Monday night games this year on one of the weeks this year. So this one's going to be I think a 7:15 start, and then the Bengals play at 8:15 or 8:30 on ESPN or ABC. I can't remember, or 8 o'clock on ABC. I can't remember the exact schedule. Actually, I have the schedule in front of me. What am I talking about? NFL schedule for week 3. Yeah. So Jacksonville, Buffalo at 7:30. Then at 8:15, Washington and Cincinnati. So the 8:15 game, the 7:30 game is going to be on ESPN, and on 8:15 it's going to be on ABC. Old times. Like it should be. Like it should be. Yeah. Honestly, if I'm honest. And I am honest. But this is a game I don't particularly care to watch because I think I know it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. Josh Allen and the Bills are going to go up early. They probably will get an early lead. The defense will do their job in choking out the other team and suffocating them, and it'll be a Bills rout. And I mean, I have respect for the Bills. I respect their fans, but this is a game that they'll enjoy it more. But this is a game that unless you're a hardcore Jaguars fan, it's likely you're going to be falling to 0-3.
Yeah,
it's not going to be it's not going to be pretty.
No, it's not going to be one of those games that even as just a general football fan, you circle on your calendar and you're like, oh, this one, we gotta tune in for it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention about the Titans Packers game, the Titans run defense. I saw them. I wouldn't say I saw them firsthand last week, but I watched. I watched on Red Zone. It's a pretty solid run. They have a pretty solid run defense.
They do, surprisingly, yeah. I
mean, compared to the Colts, which has bled almost 500 rushing yards this year, the Titans are considerably better. Even though they've lost 2 games, but I would put those 2 losses on the shoulder of one Will Levis.
Oh yeah,
who I think will struggle in this game because the Packers have a pretty good defense themselves.
Oh yeah, the Packers defense is legit, and Will Levis might put extra mayo in for this one, but it's not gonna. Yes, I'm keeping that going, everybody.
Oh yeah, he's got to produce a miracle whip of a game.
That tangy zip. I am not a miracle whip guy. I am not a miracle whip guy. We might address this in future shows. Who knows?
Oh, we forgot to do our food take. We'll get that. We'll do that at the end.
Yeah, we'll do it at the end of the show now. Yeah.
Yes, we'll do that at the end of the show. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll get to the rest of what we're watching in week 2. We'll be back in just a moment. You are tuned in to No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. That's right, folks. Invader Coffee is the official coffee of No Credentials Required. I drink it pretty much every morning. I still don't. I'm going through the right now. I'm going through the what is it? I'm going through right now. A break in case of emergency blend.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of their blends right now are sold out. Don't buy.
Yeah.
This is sold out. The whiskey K cups are sold out. The Black Heart blend, the dark blend is out. The General Mattis is out. A lot of blends are out. Authentic Mexican chocolate blend is out, but they do have their cold brew in cans. That's always available. The OG Invader Coffee is available. Break in case of emergency is also available. But it's a great coffee. It's air roasted, so you got none of that bitterness, none of that acidity that you get in other store bought brands. It's on the premium side, but it's a premium coffee, but it's the best premium coffee I've ever had. Honestly, to be honest with you, air roasted beans, again, kicks out that acidity. I drink it black. You don't have to put all sorts of gunk in your coffee like sugar or creamer. Like it just puts on extra calories for you. If you're trying to watch your LB, if you're trying to put down the LBs, you don't want to put that stuff in your coffee. But this is a dang smooth coffee. And I'm happy that they're on board with No Credentials Required and with Belly Up Sports to be in general, period.
Yeah, yeah, and I have to agree with all of your sentiments. I am a big fan, especially with the holidays coming up. We got some of the holiday blends. It's some of my favorite coffees there. And I'll get down on the pumpkin pecan as soon as it's available. But right now, I am enjoying the aforementioned cold brew, Ryan. I've had it for 2 days now. It came at the beginning of this week, and I've been enjoying it. And cold brew, I don't know if I'm into the cold brew craze as much as some other people are right now, but this is a good cold brew. I enjoy it. It's Invader. It's in a can. Shake vigorously and enjoy. What's not to love? But I'm looking to get my hands on some of the blends as well so that I can resume French pressing it up because I finally ran out of my Bad Santa blend that I was hoarding like a dragon. And I'm finally out of it, so it's time for me to re-up. But I've been enjoying the cold brew, and it's going to get there fast. You pay a little bit more for shipping, but it gets there fast.
It does. Gets there in a couple of days, and you can enjoy yourself some premium blend coffee. And not only is it premium blend, it's also it's excellently made, but it's also a veteran run company. So if you want to support your veterans, if you want to support employment for your veterans, you want to support a veteran-owned business, you can do so. They're based out of Austin, Texas. It's a great brand. We highly encourage you to use it. Link is in the description, which helps the show. And also use promo code BELLYUP at checkout for 15% off your order. All right, continuing with week 2 in the NFL. Week 3 in the NFL. We got a couple players we want to watch on offense in week 3. And I'm going to bang this drum again. I banged it last week. I'm going to bang it again. Marvin Harrison Jr. had an explosive first quarter last week against the LA Rams. Didn't do much after that. 4 receptions on 8 targets. He's still building chemistry with Kyler Murray. It's going to be a great combination for years to come if you're in Arizona. But I'm going to be curious to see how he matches up against the secondary, the Lions, who kept, for the most part, kept the receivers of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in check last week. I want to see if we can make some plays get open. I want to see if Kyler Murray can maybe get some quick throws on slants over the middle, kind of like they did with Larry Fitzgerald back in the day. Mm-hmm. He's that kind of player. He's that kind of special talent, and that's who I've got my eye on this week. It's that's just not just because I have him in one of my fantasy leagues, but I'm just genuinely curious to see if he continues this role, as I think he's going to be the best offensive rookie of this draft class, and next to Braylon Allen of the New York Jets. Not biased, but he had 2 touchdowns last week in getting his breakout role. But that's for me. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. Dustin. about you? Who's your player to watch on offense in
For me,
week 3?
For me, I'm kind of picking 2 this week, and I do think Marvin Harrison is a great pick. I can't wait to watch him and watch him continue to grow, hopefully week after week. He's one of those players that reminds me of like Calvin Johnson back in the day. I remember when Megatron first hit the field for the Lions, it was obvious that he was going to be a force for years to come. And guess what? He was. And Marvin Harrison Jr. has that same look to me right now. But I'm picking 2 players. I'm kind of cheating, but it's our show. We can do what we want.
Of course.
Derek Carr.
Whatever, we do what we want.
Derek Carr is my primary pick for offensive player to watch because, hey, let's call it what it is. He is off to a fast start this year. He and the New Orleans Saints. We both have had to eat a lot of crow so far early in the season, Ryan, because we did not pick the Saints to do very well. I think you had them finishing last in the division, and I had them finishing second to last. So we were heaping dirt on the Saints, and here they are. And a lot of it has to do with Derek Carr. I mean, he's honorable mention to Alvin Kamara, of course, and that Saints defense, which has looked dominant to start the season. But Derek Carr, I'll have my eye on him. Can he keep this going? And I kind of hope he does. It was a rough season for him last year in New Orleans, and I'm glad to see him back on his feet a little bit. But my 1B this week is Carson Steele. With Isaiah Pacheco out in Kansas City, there are rumors that it could be a 3-headed running attack between Samaje Perine, Carson Steele, and a newly signed Kareem Hunt. We will have to see how that happens. But I want to see if Carson Steele can kind of take the reins a little bit and steady this, because the Chiefs, they're 2-0, but they haven't looked dominant as they have in past seasons to start the year. Their defense has been clicking on a higher level than their offense right now. We saw Patrick Mahomes throw 2 picks last week, and I can't remember one of the last times that happened. So the Chiefs kind of have to get things moving, and I know that's crazy for me to say for a 2-0 team, but it's Derek Carr's the primary pick, but a honorable mention is Carson Steele.
Yeah, I actually managed to pick Carson Steele up in our league.
I saw that. I also put in a claim for him, but you had a higher priority than me.
I put in a claim for him and Juwan Jennings because Brandon Ayuk still kind of getting used to things, and Deebo Samuel might be put on. Been struggling. He suffered an injury last week's game, so he's going to be the number 2 target for Brock Purdy for at least this week against the Rams. So that's who I've got. That's who I've got on the fantasy horizon. So let's talk about the players to watch on the defense. Where is that clip? There it is.
Can't have him locked up. He's important to the defense.
Players to watch on defense this week. Dustin, who do you got to watch in week 3?
Well, to me, again, I'm doing a twofer. But hey, what are you going to do? My first candidate is Aiden Hutchinson. That is the nod to your most intriguing matchup of the week, because I want to see how the Lions defense does. And I also want to see if Aiden Hutchinson can replicate his dominant performance from last week, because he was amazing last week. I want to see if he can keep it going, because he's one of the best young defensive players to watch in this league. So he is my 1A. And now for 1B, I'm going to one of the older defensive players in the league. I'll have a close eye. I'll probably throw up in my mouth a little bit because I'm going to watch your self-hatred game of the week. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on Von Miller, because early in the season, he has looked somewhat rejuvenated in Buffalo. I want to see if he can keep it going, because Von's going to have to play a big role if the Bills are going to have some defensive success this year. They've had some injuries to start, and they also had some subtractions in the offseason on offense and defense. So Von Miller's a key piece for the Buffalo Bills to have success this year. I'll be watching him closely as well. And with that, I ask, what about you, sir?
This is going to surprise some people. You know, the last couple of weeks, I've chosen defensive units on who to watch. 2 weeks ago, I chose the Jaguars. Last week, I chose the Washington Commanders front seven. Disappointed me a little bit, but they still won. I've actually having my eye on a player this week. I talked about rookies, talked about Marvin Harrison, rookie on the offensive side of the board. Let's talk about somebody on the defensive side of the board. Jared Verse, Los Angeles Rams, highly touted edge rusher in college from Florida State by way of UAlbany, just an FYI. Played at UAlbany first before he transferred over to Florida State. And he's going to be matched up against Trent Williams. And he's playing the strong side linebacker, also known as the Sam linebacker. But to educate y'all who are unfamiliar with the term, Sam linebackers, they're typically in a blitz scheme. So if he's in a blitz scheme, he's going to line up on the left side against Trent Williams. That's going to be an intriguing matchup to see. And I know the 49ers in week one, they were very good at protecting Brock Purdy. Last week, they had a little bit of a struggle last week against a very surprisingly aggressive Vikings defense. I want to see, and I know like I mentioned before, the Rams are a bit banged up right now. They're a bit banged up, and on offense they'll struggle. But I want to see what they do on defense, because this last week against the Cardinals, they got beat up.
Yeah,
Kyler Murray was thrown all over the place. Kyler Murray was using his feet to make plays. That one touchdown I shared in the Discord, the aerial view that the touchdown ball he threw, got away from one defender, scrambled a little bit, and used his feet to throw a touchdown. Now Brock Purdy, good quarterback. He's not as elusive as a Kyler Murray, but he still uses his feet to make plays. So I'm kind of curious to see, and Jared Verse is the guy I'm looking for, because he was drafted in the first round by the Rams. The Rams needed a hole to fill after Aaron Donald retired, and they thought Jared Verse was going to be that guy, that difference maker, that playmaker who could get the big sack at a big time. And now they're at home against a divisional opponent, and this is going to be a very important game, because I think this is make or break time for the Rams. I didn't pick them for a wild card this year for different reasons. I still think they've taken a step back. I still think, the loss of Aaron Donald's going to hurt. It's going to hurt for a while. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, that's for sure, because it was that kind of an impact player.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now with all the injuries that are piling up, especially on offense, their defense has got to step up, and they got absolutely pounded last week. And this is a get right game for them. So, but at the same time, this might be a make or break game for the rest of the season already in week 3. And I hate to say it's because it's week 3.
Yeah.
But remember, the NFL is both a marathon. It's a marathon and a sprint, because there's only 17 games where you can make an impact and get to the playoffs. At the same time, it's a long season. So, you can use it. You can make your adjustments, get key players in at the right time, heal up at the right time. But for the Rams, I think this is going to be one of those games. It's going to be like, okay, this is going to decide who we're going to be for the rest of the season. And it's going to be, and we're going to play in a tough division with San Francisco, who's always going to be right now. They're the kings of the division. You've also got your Seattle Seahawks, who are surprisingly good, and Arizona, who is, as I said, they're fun and feisty. So this is going to be a game where they can set the tone for the division. Either they're going to come out and play flat, or their defense is going to have to make some plays and jump on the 49ers early. And I think Jared Verse could be that difference maker if he's used correctly.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it's a crucial game for this Rams team. They need to rebound after last week, and I mean they've started 0-2, but as you pointed out, as a Seahawks fan, my heart is not weeping for them. And I'm hoping that my Seahawks can beat. I believe they're playing the Dolphins this week. if memory serves. So I hope that my Seahawks can beat the Dolphins to go 3-0 up on the young season. So I really hope that but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to watch because I've heard great things, even though I don't follow the college game that closely, which is well documented on this show. I have heard things about one Jared Verse being a local product, so or being attending once one of our local universities. So of course that name is familiar to me, and it'll be interesting to see how he does.
Yep. All right. So we've pretty much ended the football portion of this Saturday's program. The one thing we forgot to do at the beginning is we forgot to get our hot food takes, and I'm actually making an element as we talk.
Ooh.
So let's talk about hot food takes, Dustin. You had a great topic after we ended the show. We were in the green room last week. I had an idea for next week's program.
Oh yeah,
but you had one already. You had one in the chamber.
Yeah,
ready to go. So go ahead with your hot food takes question for this week.
I mean, well, is it any surprise? Anyone who's listened to this podcast for any amount of time knows that we are two men that love food, and we love to talk food, and we love to get after it. But mine that came to because the live brunch episodes, we want to do like a certain feel. This one, knowing it was going to be pre-recorded, I wanted to come up with something that I thought might be divisive, or that something that people could respond to later. And it's one that I feel pretty passionate about, and I can't wait to get your response. The topic at hand, the question that we have for you, and please respond in the comments everywhere after the show. When you go to the movies, are you getting popcorn or candy? Now, this is not a scenario, because the obvious answer is both. But yes. I am making this that one option is available, the other is not. You may only choose one. And I'm going, for me, it's one answer and one answer only. And to anyone that knows me, this should not be a surprise. It's Team Popcorn all day. All day with Team Popcorn. I love candy, okay? And I have a lot of good memories. Butterfinger, bring back the Butterfinger BBs. They were the perfect movie snack for the 90s. But popcorn all day. Popcorn all day, because I want that buttery popcorn. And like you, Ryan, I'm trying to keep my LBs in check. Not doing a great job, but I have cut out soda. But the one place where I will imbibe with a soda is popcorn and a soda at the movies. You need that. You got the salty popcorn. You got the thirst quencher, that movie theater butter. We know it's clogging up our arteries. We know that if you eat that on a regular basis, you're going to have a heart attack at 38. But it's part of the movie going experience for me. And also, if you upgrade to the extra large, which I always do, shout out to my sister, who I used to go to a lot of movies with back in the day. And as always, a shout to my dearly departed mother. Mom, I hope you're watching the show up there. We used to eat the extra large popcorn so fast, we would try to eat it by the time the previews were over, so that we could get a fresh one before the movie started. And a lot of times we managed to do it.
You succeeded.
Yeah. So I'm Team Popcorn. Popcorn is a integral part of a movie viewing experience, whether it be home or at the theater. And I'm eager to hear your thoughts about this.
Okay. Yes, I mean, the answer obviously is both.
Yeah,
obviously both. I get candy and I get popcorn. My personal favorite for candy, peanut butter M&Ms. Gotta have the peanut butter M&Ms.
That's a goat. That's a goat tier candy.
But if it was one or the other, it would have to be candy for me.
Okay, all right.
Because peanut butter M&Ms. All right, peanut butter M&Ms. When those peanut butter M&Ms came out, I mean, listen, we were kids. We had only two options for M&Ms: regular, OG M&Ms, and the peanut.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed me some peanut M&Ms.
For sure.
But when M&Ms Mars came out with peanut butter M&Ms when did peanut butter M&Ms get released? When did
Oh man, real-time research everywhere on the show.
peanut butter M&Ms came out in 1989.
Wow. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I don't think it was available to us, to the United States, or at least to our region, until like the mid 90s.
Yeah, because I don't remember them.
I don't remember
like because those would have come out. I'm dating myself a little bit here, but I would have been like 6 years old when that came out. I don't remember peanut butter M&Ms.
No.
6-year-old me would have remembered peanut butter M&Ms.
6-year-old me would have
promise
remembered. I mean, if it came out in 89 or 91, I would have been 12 or 13 by that point. Yeah, 12-year-old Ryan would have been like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But they had the peanut butter M&Ms. That's my go-to. Now they have the mega M&Ms with peanut butter
these?
M&Ms. Oh, you never had mega M&Ms?
No, I have not.
Oh, they're like twice the size of a regular M&M.
Oh,
They're
man.
awesome. They're so good. So good. And I always get a cherry Coke.
Okay, cherry Coke is a classic pick
Cherry
at the
Coke.
movies. Love
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
I love that. Although didn't the theaters near us, Ryan, didn't they recently switch to Pepsi products? Because I think at least the Regals near me did.
I haven't been to a real theater in a long time. The only ones
Okay.
I've gone to recently are Bowtie up in Saratoga.
Yeah, I mean
They're Coke products.
Yeah, as it should be. You know, there's certain things because I think the Regals did switch to Pepsi because I haven't been at the movie theater in a little bit too, but I have a feeling I went more recently than you have. And during the previews, you know, for years it was that tall red Coke glass with the Coke like slightly overflowing. It's the best looking soda out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was disheartening. I'm at the movies and I see this blue Pepsi cup. It was like a very similar shot, but it was blue Pepsi. I'm like, what is this? What is going on? Because I am, well, all right, I got to zip it. Because that's a future one. Coke or Pepsi. That's a future one.
So that's I might be a fighting one.
That's the object of these things. We gotta get people sounding off.
Yeah. Well, the bow ties are now called Scene 1.
Okay.
There's one in Saratoga. There's one in Walton Mall, and I think there's one in downtown. At least there was one in downtown. I don't know if it's open anymore, but yeah. If I have one choice for the rest of my life for going to movie theaters, it's gonna be peanut butter M&Ms. It's gonna be candy.
Right.
Gonna have to be candy. I can get popcorn anytime. I mean, but
that's a compelling argument. I'll give you that one. I will give you that. But I still, Nestle, bring back the Butterfinger BBs because that was one of my. Now I know I had a mishap with them in 1991 or whenever I saw Beauty and the Beast in the theaters. And I did sit in a couple because I dropped one and I didn't see it. I was a little kid. All right. Don't hold that against me, Nestle. Bring back the BBs.
Bet you can't lay a finger on Dustin's Butterfinger. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for tuning in to our pre-recorded edition of No Credentials Required. But don't forget to please follow us on social media, facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, the scarcely used TikTok @NoCredsREQ, youtube.com/@NoCredsREQ. Give us a like. And on the podcast side, subscribe to whichever platform you prefer, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts, and also get notified. Get notified, folks.
Awesome.
On Twitter and on YouTube. Hit the notification bell. I just made that as we were talking. Get notified on Twitter and get notified on YouTube to when we have new videos or we post a tweet reminding you of the show. That way you know we're on the air. And also tell a friend about our show. Tell a friend about our show, whether it be on the podcast side or on the podcast subscription or on any of our social medias, because we're live every Tuesday at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. We'll let you know if there's any time changes. Same for Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock Eastern. And and also rate and review. Rate and review. You can leave a 5-star rating on all podcast platforms. On Spotify, you can comment on the show. We'll read it on the air. And if you're on a platform where we can rate us, we might even read your review on the air. So, thank you for tuning in to this edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Enjoy week 3 of the NFL, folks. We'll talk to you live on Tuesday, 8:05 Eastern.
Good night and good morning, everybody, depending on when you're watching this.
That's right.